Hello, TopFanRivalry followers. It's Thursday morning. Mikey and I are going to bless you with some Dodger news. Welcome to episode 4 of Bleeding Blue. Mikey, how the heck are you?
Doing well, Bill. How are you?
I'm excellent. We got some topics, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Awesome. So we don't have much Dodger news since last week. I mean, we still kind of got Murders Row. I guess we can argue about who's going to start where and when they're going to play, but
Yeah. We had
I
a little bit
mean,
of a trade, Michael Bush and uh why am I drawing a blank on the other guy?
of course, you'd have to say that because I'm drawing a blank on it too.
Michael Bush.
And Michael Bush and a player to
Oh,
be named
Yancy
later.
Almonte.
Oh,
And
that's
Yancy
right.
Almonte.
Yancy
And
Almonte.
but we got and Michael Bush I think is gonna be a hitter.
Hmm.
Um but not much of an upside defensively. That's why we really had nowhere for him because he didn't have a position. And Yancy Almonte, I mean, he shows glimpses of being dominant, but then the next time come out and be mediocre, and then he was hurt a lot. So, and we got two high upside Cubs prospects
Yeah,
from the Cubs. So
yeah.
I like the trade.
It's a good trade. When you're a younger guy in the Dodgers organization, you're excited because the big club's doing good, but you're also excited because you know that they like to grow their farm system and build it from below. And so you know that you got a shot.
Yeah, one of the guys they got's already in the top five in their you know
Prospect
prospects,
pool.
which
Yeah.
is Ferris, and we have a Ferris and a Bueller. So
Bueller. All we need is somebody to be like Fry, last name of Fry, and then playing right after Bueller. So it could be Bueller, Fry. Be awesome. Be awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so today's topic, Mikey and I talked 81, 88 Dodgers last year. So Mikey and I talked about what do we do in the 90s? Some of you Dodger fans are so used to the Dodgers being so freaking dominant, but we're going to prove to you that they weren't always dominant. There were some very lean years there. So, Mike, should we start talking first about rookie of the years and what the Dodgers were doing back then?
yeah, we definitely weren't short of young talent coming up at the time.
Mm,
Um, but the teams weren't the best. We all know since Jackie Robinson was the inaugural rookie of the year that I think it's still the Dodgers by far have the most rookie of the years. Am I correct?
yes, you are correct on that.
Yeah. And obviously in the 90s, we had a run of five in a row, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. So
it was amazing. 92 through 96 with Eric Karros, Mike Piazza, Raul Mondesi, Hideo Nomo, a pitcher, and then Todd Hollinsworth, who, if you can remember, Mikey, his name started at like his left shoulder blade and went all the
yeah,
like
yep.
the poor.
I don't really remember what happened to him. I couldn't even tell you how many years he played for the Dodgers and then where he went after that.
Yeah.
I just know he came, started off strong and then kind of petered off.
Yeah, it's funny. You're absolutely right. He was one of those dudes that everybody loved, and he just hit the ground running, and then it was almost like he disappeared as quickly. I know he played for the Dodgers for several seasons, 4, 5, 6 seasons, but once he left the Dodgers, it was just it was almost like a Darren Dreifort. It was like he's just one day gone, and
Yeah,
we
well, at least I don't like I said I can't. I don't really have a lot of thoughts on Todd Hollinsworth. Um, I I don't know if it was injury related. I mean, we know what happened to Darren Dreifort, and I mean, boy, it's pretty
yep,
sad. It would have been interesting to see what kind of career he could have had.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
no.
But
I
Todd Hollandsworth, though, what I do remember was very athletic. He reminds me a lot of like a James Outman.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so hopefully James Outman doesn't follow the Todd Hollandsworth
Hopefully he
path.
stays on Big Game James.
Yeah,
There you go. There
yeah.
you go. Okay, so here's some interesting statistics, Mikey, since we're talking about the 90s. You and I looked this up before, but for those of you listening, my trusty note cards, when you see the in the leagues, you know that I make notes like crazy on cards. So Mikey always jokes with me. He stopped watching our in the leagues, by the way. We noticed, Mikey, we noticed that you're not on anymore. Like not
I
commenting,
was on
anything like that.
today. I saw Surfer Padre, dude.
I mean, you know, baseball side chick is like, dude, Mikey's like never on anymore. And I'm like, because he doesn't like you. And she's like, wait, what? No, I'm teasing.
I saw the Padre dude today. And I think Megs waved at me. I waved back. Then I clicked my little wave at baseball sidekick and it wouldn't let me wave at her.
Well,
So
all
I
is
don't know.
forgiven.
I have to see if she still follows me. I don't know.
So Mikey and I did a little research. This is going to shock you Dodger fans. And so Mikey, I'm going to give some statistics and then you tell me what you remember about these Dodger teams. So here's the Dodgers were now I understand 90 to 99 is what we're talking about. There was a strike year in there where the season ended short in 1994, no World Series, and in 1995 they only played 144 games. They didn't play 162 because the strike was still going on. The Dodgers were a hundred. They were 797 and 757. So there were 40 games over 500 over 10 seasons. Their best season, they finished well. They only finished first place twice. One season was the strike season, and the second season was the end of the strike season into 95. Their
We
best
all know we
season,
dominate shortened seasons.
exactly. The best season win wise, they came in second place to Atlanta. They were 93 and 69.
Yeah,
Their
Bill,
worst,
why we got this topic going.
yeah.
Tell us who was in our division at this time.
Oh, yes, I will. So our worst season, I'll tell you this in a second. So our worst season was 1992. We were 63 and 99. We came in last place. Now, Mikey's right. So up until 94, so 91 or 90, 91, 92, 93, the division was the Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres. That was it. Now in 94, the Central comes into play and Colorado, I'm sorry, yes, the Colorado Rockies were at it. Okay. And Atlanta was taken out. So it was San Francisco, LA, Colorado, and San Francisco, Colorado, LA, and San Diego. It was only four teams. Then in the late 90s, in comes Arizona. So, Mikey, do you remember, like, first of all, somebody gets somebody a map. Like you fly over freaking Cincinnati was in our division too. You fly over St. Louis to get to Cincinnati. You fly over St. Louis to get to Atlanta, yet those two teams were in our division and St. Louis wasn't. Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Whoever, yeah, there was some alcohol dispersed amongst the people who were putting the divisions together back in the day. And
There
they
was
just threw darts. I think they threw darts, and that's how they decided who was going to be where.
yeah, yeah. Well, I yes, yes. And so I yeah, so absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So Mikey, what do you remember about these teams? I mean, we came in the 10 years, we came in second place four times, first place twice, but one of them didn't have a World Series to it because the strike. Third place, it looks like we came in twice, last place once, fourth place once. But we also remember up until 94, we also had Atlanta in our division, which those were the years of Glavin Maltz or Glavin, Smoltz, and Maddox,
Maddox.
where they were, So tell me what you remember about these Dodger years. They were lean.
They were lean. Stick with them through thick and thin. They did, they still did have some good players, good clubs. But it just, it was just a different time, and it didn't equate to a lot of success, deep success.
So if you and I were hanging out at lunch, okay, whatever, we're hanging out at lunch.
We've had lunch
Um,
before.
yeah, so we're hanging out at lunch and we're hanging out with five Dodger fans that have only known the Dodgers, let's say, since 2012. So for the last 12 years or so. What would you tell them?
Well, first they'd probably say, "Hey, old man," you
Yeah,
know. Um,
very true.
who knows what they would say. It just hasn't always. It's not always wine and roses. I mean, see, ask the Padres last year; they'll tell you. Um, nothing's given. The Dodgers. We know what they have now. You're still going to have to do it on the field.
Yep.
I mean, the Dodgers in the '90s did not have what they have now. Let's be honest. From top to bottom, they did have some very good players. They did spend money, Kevin Brown, things like that. They'd go after, went after some free agents and stuff, but it just never. Kevin Brown, we lost some money on that one because he was injured, but played some, but was injured. Just good players, good player names from Dodgers past, but it didn't equate to a lot of winning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny too, because it wasn't, if you were a Dodger fan back then, it wasn't like the guys were playing for the name on the back of the jersey. It just wasn't gelling. I mean, Piazza was never, hey, I'm a Piazza guy, you got, or I'm this and that. Eric Harris and Mike Piazza used to ride to the stadium together. They'd pick each other up and ride to the stadium together. You had those years, you had Brett Butler that came in that played for the Dodgers, and I think it was 94, 95, 96, someplace in there. He was there during the strike. You had players that had veteran leadership. You had good rookies. You had a lot of players that it wasn't that you had a bunch of egos. It just baseball's a weird game, and sometimes it just doesn't gel.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about the '90s and things like that. Like, just think of a guy like Brian Jordan.
Hmm.
I mean, we had Brian Jordan for a time,
Hmm.
after the Cardinals and stuff, and I think he played for the Braves a little bit. But I mean, Brian Jordan played for the Dodgers. They Darryl Strawberry, Eric. They went through the gamut of usually the guys who are a little bit past their time. And that's what you got in the '90s. You got about 40 games over 500 for the decade, which is basically a 500 team for, the
Hmm.
decade, really. Um, it was, it wasn't always the most pleasing baseball to watch, but there's going to come a time again, hopefully not
Soon.
anywhere in the near future, where the Dodgers are going to ebb back to everybody else, and it happens. No
Yep.
one's been good for 100 years. You're going to have lean years too.
Yep. Yep. So Mikey brought up a good point too, and we're doing a little Dodger history for you. Don't worry, these shows will have the gamut. But remember, the Dodgers traded Mike Piazza to back then the Florida Marlins. And I want to say that was 1997 or 1998. In return, we got one of the best catchers defensively in baseball at the time. Couldn't hit, but one of the best catchers in baseball at the time in Charles Johnson. We got Gary Sheffield, and we got Bobby Bonilla, the infamous Met. So we had this incredible third baseman at the end of his career. We had this crazy outfielder in Gary Sheffield, and we had this catcher that nothing ever got by him, but he hit 200. So it wasn't like the Dodgers didn't have the talent. It
Wait, so
just,
you're telling me he hit?
what's that?
I said, so you're telling me he hit better than Austin Barnes?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mikey, you could probably pick up a bat and, get a few
No,
swings in there and get
I
lucky.
don't think so.
Hashtag unblock Mikey. Yeah, no, Austin, listen, these were weird years for the Dodgers because they were very good. Now, the Dodgers also, too, went through a streak. Mikey, you'll remember this as soon as I bring it up. They went through a streak in the mid 90s, all the way through maybe 2004, 5, 6 years, where we would get a lot of guys way past their prime that we would hope might have lightning in a bottle one more time. Darryl Strawberry, Ricky Henderson was a Dodger at one point, just to name two of them. But we would
Greg
get a lot of
Maddux
these.
twice.
Yeah, yeah, and it was interesting too because if you were a Dodger fan in the 90s, you would get excited about certain players and then they wouldn't pan out. And then somehow or another, they get traded or get released by the Dodgers, go someplace else and be lights out. Do you also remember this, Mikey?
Yeah. Yeah. They did it in the 80s too. And in the 70s, if you look at it really, Frank Robinson had a cup of coffee with the Dodgers. Boog Powell had a cup of coffee with the Dodgers. Uh, who was the other one that always kind of blew my mind that I can't even think of the guy right now, but those two, right? Mark Belanger, who was a Oriole forever. But this other guy, gosh, I can't remember his name. It's eluding me right now. But the Dodgers have been known in the 80s. It was Al Oliver and a few other guys like that that had really good careers,
Mm-hmm.
but we always got them too late.
Mm-hmm.
Just it
Carlos
was,
Perez, the pitcher.
yeah, yep, from the
We
Expos.
Yeah, we got him from the Expos. He was lights out up in Montreal, not so much the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
no.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
they
when
make for good baseball cards though.
yeah, but it's so hard, Mikey. As we're talking about this, I can feel myself being disappointed because every year opening day would happen and you would think, okay, this is our year. This is our year. We have history. We're the Los Angeles freaking Dodgers. We got this. And then they'd either start out really, really slow or they'd run to the All-Star break amazing and then fall apart. Either way, sometime in August,
Yeah.
we were looking around going, yeah, right. It's it
We were just good enough to lose.
Yeah, we were good enough to keep our attention until about August 15th, which is 2 months longer than Angel fans can keep their attention with the Angels right now. But it was and it's unique because when you look at the 90s, it was almost like the baseball gods said you can have one team that's good in Southern California. So the Angels had that run in 95, 96 where they were really good, but not so good at the beginning of the 90s. The Padres had the World Series in 1998. They won it in 96. It was almost like the baseball gods said, one
Yeah,
team in SoCal.
it would be something someday to see the Dodgers play the Angels, though, wouldn't it? The
Oh,
World Series.
it's like the Mets and Yankees in 2000, right?
Yeah,
I mean, does it get any better? So, so Mikey, as we're wrapping this thing up, Dodger fans, just a reminder as we're wrapping this up, this is episode 4 of Bleeding Blue. Mikey and I will do this every week. One more in YouTube, and then the rest of them go in the Top Fan Rivalry locker room. What's on deck for us is we will go through as the season starts. We'll give you injury reports. We'll give you like highlights, different things throughout the season. But also, you can catch us doing lives on Instagram after every series. And usually Mikey and I will host one or two fans from the other team. And it's half hour. It's half hour, 40 minutes. We usually talk about what went good for the other team, what like let the other team's fans talk about what went good, where they can improve, where the Dodgers went good, where they can improve each team's next series, and then take a few questions. It's pretty
Yeah, it's
basic.
just a really good insight to the teams we play, their fans, and their view of what they saw.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So so Mikey and I do that. And I have to tell you, this is a very much a labor of love. We do it so that we can enjoy it with you Dodger fans. And it's fun for us because we both bleed blue. Um, Mikey can say stuff that I can't get away with because Top Fan covers all 30 teams, so I have to be somewhat neutral.
And I'm not afraid to tell it like it is.
You're not. And I'm gonna say it right now. If anybody wants to call me not a Dodger fan because I'll interview Astros or Giants fans, Mikey's coming after you because Mikey will tell you that I bleed blue.
He
Period.
does. So another thing I'd like to add about what we're doing here, Bill, is if anybody who watches these has any ideas on what maybe they would like to hear or what we should talk about, DM
Hmm.
us. You know,
Yeah,
um, maybe we'll have a show on those. You know, give us some topics of Dodger stuff that you want to hear or talk about. So
let us know. Let
yeah,
us know. We are open books. We will do whatever is best for the community. There's nothing that says that you can't jump on and visit with us. Mikey and I are very approachable. So, heck, I reached out to Mikey through Instagram, and Mikey called me through Instagram, and you know, it's one of my cherished friendships that we've made at Top Fan Rivalry. So it's a good thing.
it was embarrassing because I was calling, sniveling, going, "How do I do this?"
No, no,
So
it was not embarrassing. It was not embarrassing. Mikey, any final thoughts as we wrap up this episode and put this up on YouTube this morning? Any final thoughts that you have on this?
yeah, be be appreciative of what we have to watch right about now these days because the 90s weren't like that. The early 2000s weren't like that. So enjoy there's ebbs and flows to baseball. I mean, there's going to be decades, years where the Dodgers are not good, and we're in a great stretch right now. Hopefully for quite a few years with what they put together, but there's going to come a time again where we're not the
Yeah,
team to beat. Where we're going to be scuffling too. You
yeah.
know, so enjoy what we have now. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and exactly. And be patient. Remember, for those of you that are diehard baseball fans, what I'm going to call purist, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it looks like. That these guys are just human. For those of you that are just kind of getting into the sport, love it. Just absolutely love it. But remember, these guys are human too. They have families. I mean, stop and think about what it's like when you get a call from your spouse and something happened to your kid. Imagine if you're a professional baseball player and you're driving up to the stadium and you get a call from your wife that says little Johnny skinned his chin riding his bike. He fell and he needs 6 stitches. We're on the way to the hospital, and you can't leave work. It's not like you can turn around and say, I'm not going to go to the stadium that day. And so just remember these guys are human too. Just enjoy it and love it. So
Professional athletes are people too.
exactly. Mikey, should we
Yeah,
do this?
professional athletes are people too.
Exactly.
Let's
Should we do this again this
yeah,
week? This next week?
sure.
Okay. I love it. Let's do it. All right. My friend, I appreciate you. Top Fan Rivalry followers. Make sure you're following Mikey on Instagram. Make sure you're following Top Fan Rivalry as well. We will do this again next week. We appreciate you letting us go down memory lane for the 90s, and we'll get you for the 2000s here pretty quick. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bill. Thanks, everybody.